Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the intertwined worlds of mindfulness and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating connection.
We've got a compelling collection of sources and exactly. So our mission, really, is to understand how bringing awareness to the present moment can reshape your emotional landscape and, fuel your overall well-being.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
It truly is.
What strikes me right away is how all these different sources, from like personal stories to heavy research, they all seem to point to the same thing. Well, the huge impact of just focused attention. We're seeing frameworks, techniques, all suggesting that being present is like a foundational skill.
Especially for dealing with our emotions, right?
Precisely. For navigating our complex emotional lives.
Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. What is mindfulness, really? It's become such a buzzword.
It really has. Mindful.org gives a great starting point. They define it as being fully present, fully aware of what's happening right now.
But without getting totally lost in your thoughts or overreacting.
Exactly. And they stress it's not some, mystical state you have to achieve. It's an inherent ability we all have.
Something we can actually cultivate.
Yes. And the MSU Extension's 5-minute body scan intro really nails the mechanics of this. They highlight 4 key things: paying attention, doing it on purpose, staying in the present moment, and this is crucial, having a non-judgmental attitude.
Ah, that non-judgment part. That feels like the real unlock, doesn't it?
I think so too. It seems key to so many of the benefits we'll talk about.
And it's fascinating how someone on Reddit, user Zivomsky, captures the same idea, but in a really relatable way.
Oh, yeah. What did they say?
They called it intentional being. Just observing moments as they are, feeling connected physically and mentally.
But without beating yourself up over those monkey brain thoughts.
Exactly. That phrase, monkey brain thoughts, it really sticks with you.
It totally does. It perfectly captures that internal chatter we all have.
And learning to just watch it instead of getting swept away, that seems fundamental to mindfulness.
It is. And that leads us right into some common roadblocks, the misconceptions people have about meditation, which is a key tool for this.
Right. Deepak Chopra tackled these in his 7 Myths of Meditation. Let's unpack those because I think they stop a lot of people from even trying.
Definitely. So, myth number 1, meditation is difficult.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
But Chopra argues it's actually pretty easy, even fun, with a bit of guidance. Simple things like focusing on your breath or using a mantra.
So where does the difficulty come from then?
He suggests it often comes from trying too hard, pushing for perfect concentration, getting attached to a specific outcome, or just worrying you're doing it wrong.
Makes sense, like trying to force yourself to relax.
Exactly. And that's where he says getting instruction from a qualified teacher can make a huge difference.
Okay. Myth number 2, and this feels like a big one. You have to completely quiet your mind. Stop all thoughts.
Right. And Chopra says, no, that's not the goal. Trying to force thoughts to stop just creates more stress, more tension.
So what's the alternative?
It's more about choosing where you put your attention and finding the quiet space between the thoughts. He calls it the gap, or pure consciousness.
The gap. Interesting.
Yeah. So you use a focus point breath, an image, whatever, and when thoughts come up, which they will.
Yeah. You just gently guide your attention back.
Exactly. He even says just noticing you've drifted off into thought, that itself is a breakthrough.
That's a real game changer. It shifts the whole approach, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about failure, it's about awareness.
Precisely. It's about changing your relationship with your thoughts, not eliminating them.
Okay, myth 3. It takes years and years of practice to see any benefits.
And this is where it gets really encouraging. Chopra says, nope, the benefits can be immediate and long-term.
Really? Immediate.
Yeah. He points to studies, like one from Harvard MGH, showing measurable changes in just 8 weeks. Things like less anxiety, better memory, more empathy, more self-awareness, better stress regulation.
Wow, 8 weeks is pretty fast for changes like that.
It is. And he also mentions more immediate things like better sleep, improved concentration, even lower blood pressure sometimes.
That's compelling. Okay, myth 4. Meditation is just escapism, running away from your problems.
Chopra flips that completely.
Yeah.
He argues it's actually about tuning in, not out, tuning into your true self beneath all the external stuff.
Connecting with that pure consciousness you mentioned?
Yes, letting go of the limiting stories we tell ourselves. He does acknowledge some people might misuse it to avoid things.
Sure, that can happen with anything.
Right. But he emphasizes that healthy practice involves facing emotions, maybe even alongside therapy if there's trauma involved.
So less about escape, more about deeper engagement.
Got it.
Myth 5. The classic, I don't have time.
Ah, yes, the time excuse. Chopra points out that, well, lots of incredibly busy, successful people make time for it.
Good point.
And he reframes it. Even just a few minutes is way better than nothing. And here's the interesting part. He suggests regular meditation can actually create more time.
How? That sounds like a paradox.
By fostering restful alertness, maybe slowing down some biological aging processes tied to stress, and helping you get into those productive flow states more easily.
Huh. Invest a little time.
Yeah.
Potentially gain more focus and efficiency. Interesting. Okay, myth 6. You need to have specific spiritual or religious beliefs.
Chopra's very clear here. Absolutely not. It's fundamentally about finding stillness and silence inside. It fits with any belief system or none at all.
So people practice just for the health benefits.
Totally. Lower blood pressure, stress reduction, better sleep. He even mentions he first used it himself just to quit smoking. Shows how practical it can be.
Okay, versatile tool. Finally, myth 7. You're supposed to have amazing, transcendent, blissed-out experiences every time.
Yeah, the pressure for fireworks. Chopra says while those moments of oneness or bliss can happen sometimes, they're not the point.
So what is the point then?
The real benefits show up in daily life. More creativity, more compassion, feeling more centered, developing loving kindness, tangible stuff.
How you actually live your life day to day.
Exactly.
Okay, busting those myths is super helpful. So for someone listening who's thinking, all right, I'm curious, maybe I'll try it, where do they actually start? We got some great practical tips from Reddit and mindful.org.
Yeah, that Reddit thread was a goldmine for beginners. Zipomsky's advice was great. Be intentional, watch yourself without judgment.
Notice when the mind wanders, gently bring it back.
Mm.
Master the now.
Right, and Boring Web Dev saw it as like deep introspection, studying your own mind, saying meditation itself is the best teacher.
Which suggests you don't necessarily need a guru right away.
Potentially not. And others, like Boom Boom Bagus and iMelon72, focused on daily activities.
Like showering or washing dishes.
Exactly. Bringing full awareness, using your senses, refocusing when you drift off, just integrating it into what you already do.
Making the mundane mindful.
Yeah. Though Pathless Walker did suggest considering more formal courses or retreats, like Vipassana, especially for the guidance a teacher offers.
So different paths depending on what works for you. Pink Sparkle 2007 mentioned guided meditations too.
Right, using apps or recordings. Find a quiet spot, expect distractions at first, that's normal, and just be consistent. Consistency is key.
And mindful.org echoes a lot of this, doesn't it? They talk about different postures.
Seated, walking, standing, even mindful movement. Short pauses during the day. Merging it with yoga or sports.
The core practice is always that gentle return to the breath or body sensations.
Pretty much. Focus on the breath, notice distraction, gently return. And they really emphasize the body meditation starts and ends in the body. They even give posture tips. Stable seat, grounded feet, spine naturally curved, shoulders relaxed.
And that 5-minute body scan from MSU Extension is a perfect example of a guided practice for that body awareness, right?
Absolutely. It just walks you through focusing on different body parts, noticing sensations without judging, syncing with the breath. Super accessible way to start.
Okay, so loads of ways in, whether it's 5 minutes with a body scan or just paying attention while you make coffee. Now, let's shift to how this connects so deeply with our emotional world. John Darwin's paper, Emotional Intelligence and Mindfulness, really maps this out.
It does. Darwin lays out a really strong case for this link. He defines emotional intelligence, or EI, broadly covering things like self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills.
Flexibility, decision-making, resilience, all those key competencies.
Right. And his core argument is that practicing mindfulness basically acts like a turbocharger for all these EI skills.
How so? What's the mechanism?
Well, by practicing mindfulness, you get better at just observing your own thoughts and feelings without immediately judging or reacting to them.
That heightened self-awareness.
Exactly. And that self-awareness then helps you recognize and understand not just your own emotions, but also pick up on emotional cues from others much better. So, better social awareness, too.
And it helps regulate emotions.
Yes. It strengthens your ability to manage emotions, maybe recover more quickly from distress. It boosts what researchers call metacognition, awareness of your own thought processes.
It's like mindfulness gives you a clearer view of the whole emotional landscape, inside and out.
That's a great way to put it. Darwin cites studies, like from Baer et al. And Brown and Ryan, showing these positive links empirically.
And people higher in mindfulness, generally report better emotional well-being overall.
Yeah, higher trait EI, more positive feelings, higher life satisfaction, fewer negative emotions. The data seems pretty consistent.
He even talks about Google's Search Inside Yourself program. That's a big real-world example.
It really is. Developed by Chade-Meng Tan, it explicitly uses mindfulness training to build emotional intelligence.
What does it focus on?
Attention training, seeing that as the bedrock of EI, then building self-knowledge, emotional mastery, and creating useful mental habits.
And Daniel Goleman, the EI guru, endorsed it.
Strongly. He said self-knowledge is core to EI, and mindfulness is like the best mental app to get there.
Wow. Having that succeed at Google really says something about its practical power.
Definitely. Darwin then digs into specific EI components. For self-awareness and self-management, he says, mindfulness sharpens our ability to perceive, understand, and regulate thoughts and emotions. Studies show it improves attention, behavioral control.
And it ties into self-actualization.
Yeah, through focusing on positive emotions and activities, which is often part of mindfulness practice.
Okay, what about social skills? Empathy seems like a big one here.
Absolutely. Practices like loving kindness and compassion meditation directly target and enhance empathy. Darwin mentions research showing mindfulness training boosts empathic responses.
So you become more attuned to others.
Yes, better attunement, better connection in relationships. He cites a study with doctors where mindfulness reduced burnout and improved their connection with patients.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And it helps you understand your own feelings better, too.
Right. That core EI skill of recognizing and differentiating your own emotions, mindfulness of feelings, helps directly with that.
So deeper understanding of self and others. Makes sense. What about flexibility and handling stress?
Mindfulness, especially programs like MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, pioneered by John Kabat-Zinn, directly targets stress tolerance. Studies link it to better attention, cognitive flexibility, problem solving. It's negatively correlated with perceived stress, positively with EI. And get this, there are physical benefits too.
Like what?
Research shows increased immune function, even changes in the brain that help handle stress better. Plus, it reduces negative moods, rumination, anxiety.
Wow. So mental practice, physical changes. What about decision-making? How does being present help us choose better?
It boosts things crucial for good decisions. Preparedness, attention, how we process information, even creativity. Darwin mentions Langer's idea of mindful learning.
Which is?
Being open to new information, seeing multiple perspectives, not being stuck in old categories. Research also shows mindfulness training improves working memory and reading comprehension by cutting down distracting thoughts.
So clear thinking, basically.
Yeah, and it helps with impulse control, too. He uses the two darts metaphor.
Two darts.
Yeah, the idea is the first dart is unavoidable pain or difficulty. The second dart is the suffering we add ourselves through rumination, reactivity. Mindfulness gives you that pause, that space to choose not to throw the second dart.
Ah, I see. Recognizing the reaction is optional. Very insightful. And resilience naturally follows from all
It
this.
seems to. Darwin references Boyasis and McKee, who see mindfulness, hope, and compassion as paths to resilience. Being aware, having optimism, caring for others, it all builds that capacity to bounce back.
He mentions a study with police recruits.
Yeah, showing mindfulness and emotional awareness, predicting better mental health when they started that really tough job.
So across the board, self-awareness, managing emotions, relating to others, handling stress, making decisions, bouncing back mindfulness, seems like a foundational skill for boosting emotional intelligence.
It really does provide a powerful toolkit.
Okay, let's look at how this plays out in very specific daily actions. Communication, for instance. Sigma assessment systems had some thoughts on this.
Right. They frame mindful communication as basically responding thoughtfully instead of just reacting.
Being present in the conversation.
Exactly. Which makes interactions, like meetings, way more effective. It boils down to two things: mindful listening and mindful speaking.
And mindful listening is more than just not talking.
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
It's about genuine interest, suspending judgment, giving your full attention. It means actively avoiding common pitfalls.
Like what?
Comparing their story to yours, trying to mind read, rehearsing your reply while they're talking, judging too early, interrupting, making it about you, planning your comeback.
We've all done those.
Totally. The real goal is just to understand the speaker. Sigma suggests things like hold back from speaking at first, paraphrase what you heard, ask clarifying questions, allow silence.
Practical tips.
Yeah.
What about mindful speaking?
That's about being intentional with your words. Staying on topic, watching others' reactions to see if you're being clear.
How should you speak mindfully?
Be concise, specific, direct, truthful, authentic. Avoid rambling, making excuses, hurtful comments, repeating yourself. They offer 2 great acronyms.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, why am I talking? Pause and check your intention. And think. Is it true, helpful, informative, necessary, kind?
Wait and think. Those are brilliant filters. Okay, shifting gears again from talking to eating. USU Extension looked at mindful eating.
Yeah, and this is all about how you eat, not just what you eat. Paying attention, thoughts, feelings, physical sensations while you're eating.
So slowing down, new distractions.
Exactly. Eating deliberately, noticing hunger and fullness cues, choosing foods you actually enjoy and that nourish you, acknowledging how food makes you feel.
Reconnecting with the whole experience. What are the upsides?
USU Extension mentions getting back in touch with real hunger and fullness signals, which can help with weight management. Also, better self-esteem, feeling more empowered around food.
But it's tough in our fast-paced lives, isn't it?
For sure. Busy schedules, work, family, the convenience of fast food, they all make it challenging.
So what strategies can help?
They offer lots of practical ideas like pause before eating. Am I hungry? Thirsty? What am I feeling? Use smaller plates. Don't feel you have to clean your plate. Move serving bowls away.
Little environmental tweaks.
Right. Keep healthy stuff handy. Control portions. Eat when you're actually hungry, not just emotional. Maybe keep a food journal to spot triggers.
And slow down the actual eating.
Yes. Chew thoroughly, savor flavors, put your fork down between bites, sip water, and definitely sit down and pay attention. No screens, no multitasking.
Really practical stuff anyone can try. Now, going back to Darwin's paper, he mentioned mindfulness going beyond just EI.
Yeah, he talked about mindfulness-based life enhancement, or MBLE, using mindfulness to boost well-being generally.
Wow.
Things like savoring positive experiences. He linked it to the be there idea from the fish philosophy. Also, mindful movement, recognizing that body awareness, somatic awareness, is important for well-being even if EI models don't focus on it much.
And links to positive psychology.
Exactly. MBLE brings in things like optimism, hope, purpose, gratitude, forgiveness, all key positive psychology concepts. Darwin notes EI itself overlaps hugely with positive psychology goals like happiness and performance.
So mindfulness isn't just about managing the negative, it's about enhancing the positive too.
Precisely. It's a broader enhancement of life quality.
Okay, so to wrap up Darwin's perspective, what's the main takeaway?
His conclusion is pretty clear. Mindfulness is a really valuable foundation for building emotional intelligence. He points to MBLE participants reporting benefits like more awareness, acceptance, less stress, better life quality.
And he had data from a real course.
Yeah, a public sector MBLE course showed measurable improvements in mindful awareness, flourishing, and perceived stress after the program. The results seem tangible.
Okay, so bringing this all together, we've seen mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind. It's more like a skill, right? A capacity to be present.
Absolutely. A skill you can develop through all sorts of practices, formal or informal.
And the payoff seems pretty significant. Immediate and long-term benefits for your emotional intelligence, self-awareness, managing yourself, social skills, resilience.
But also for how you communicate, how you relate to food, and just your overall sense of well-being and satisfaction with life.
When you step back, it really feels like this ability to be present gives you, well, a better way to navigate everything inside and out.
A greater capacity for understanding yourself, understanding others, and engaging with life more skillfully and meaningfully.
So, for you listening, maybe think about exploring this. You could try that 5-minute body scan. Or just pick one daily routine, brushing your teeth, drinking tea, and bring full attention to it.
Or reflect on those meditation myths. Did any of them resonate with you or maybe hold you back before? Notice your communication. Maybe try the wait or think acronyms next time you're about to speak.
Yeah, it raises that personal question, doesn't it? Out of everything we've talked about today, what aspect of mindfulness or EI feels most relevant to you right now?
What resonates most in your current life chapter?
And maybe our final thought for you is this. Being present isn't just some passive state. It's an active, powerful tool.
A tool you can sharpen to navigate your inner world and the outer world with more awareness, more understanding, and definitely more resilience.
So what's one small, concrete step you could take today, right now even, to start exploring that capacity a little further in your own life?
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.